Welcome to Project A3 Reviews. I'm Michael, and this time I will review a very unique item from a Korean company. This is AME. First of all, thank you for AME for providing me with this review unit. And this is the J1UX. Honestly, this is the first time I have ever owned an IM from a Korean company. Most of my IMs are hi-fis. Okay, it is using a single dynamic driver and is priced around $100. For exact, it is $99 US. The packaging is really simple, but I really like this hard case that comes with them. It is very big and really functional. Thank you for AME for this hard case. Okay, by default they also provide spin fit. This is the Type CP145 as their default ear tips. Okay, now let's get deeper into the review. The build itself is really interesting. The housing is huge and made of plastic. It is very light, by the way, and it is using MMCX connector. Well, the cable itself is really thin. It is braided and twisted, but it is really thin on the upper ends. You see, it's on the thinner side. It also has this microphone here. And here's the jack, but it is really flexible. As for the sound, I will use my BTR5 and i5 XDSD as my main source. The sound is warm, V-shaped. It is not smooth, but strangely I hear no sibilance at all. Although I definitely hear some emphasis in upper mid-range and lower treble. But the main focus is still the bass. This J1UX is marketed as extra bass IM, while its brother, the J1UR, is the more neutral one. So yes, the bass is definitely the beast. It is thick, deep, and fat. Definitely a lure for bass heads. Even though it has great depth, but unfortunately it is a little bit boomy, so it's not a really fast bass. While the mid-range is I wouldn't say that it is smooth and sweet, but it is very well controlled because I could hear no sibilance at all in any type of songs. I hear no sibilance. I only hear some of the upper mid pick. It is there, so yes, in some songs, in some tracks, for female vocal, it could get a little bit shouty, but I hear no sibilance. But yeah, most of the time the vocal is a little bit backward in positioning and has a bit of thickness there. Okay, the treble feels subdued and lacking in sparkle. For cymbal crash, for example, and high notes in violin disappears in some songs like La Campanilla or La Primavera. So this is, I could recognize this as a warm V-shape sounding, while the more emphasis is on the bass and the upper mid-range to the lower treble, but the upper treble I hear no treble extension. The soundstage is wide and with a good amount of depth. Usually the IM with dynamic driver and big housing tends to have huge soundstage, and yes, that formula also works in this J1UX too. The separation is also quite good, but honestly it is not the best among all I've ever heard at this price point. Well, now how is it compared to my favorite IM under $100? This is the very well performer T2plus. I think right now T2plus is my benchmark for IM under $100. Okay, how is it compared? They are very different. The T2plus sounds way thinner than the bassy and warm J1UX. J1UX has more depth and quantity in bass, much more quantity in bass, but the T2plus is so much faster. The mid-range is warmer in J1UX and may have more weight, but in T2plus it sounds smoother, more airy, and also sweeter, strangely. Yes. And the treble extension and sparkler, it is better in T2plus, while the J1UX treble is more subdued and shy in comparison. Soundstage is definitely wider and more three-dimensional in this J1UX, but it has more height thanks to the treble in the T2plus. While for separation, I think they are a bit on the same level, but I must say that the T2plus is a bit better, especially when you try orchestral songs. So yeah, for me, they are very different. It depends on what kind of genre you listen. When you want to hear EDMs or rock music, pop music that has a lot of bass, a lot of low notes, I think this J1UX will suit you better. But if you like orchestra, you like instrumental, you like female vocals, I still prefer this T2plus. Okay, so here are the pros, cons, and also the score for the J1UX. Yeah, I think in the end, J1UX is a very nice front IM with big bass. Well, I still consider this IM as V-shaped because of the upper mid-range emphasize and lower treble emphasize. But overall, this is a very warm IM. So in a lot of tracks, it is very warm. So I could recommend this J1UX for those who like deep thumping bass, free of sibilance mid-range, with some upper mid peaks, but with huge soundstage. I hope you liked today's review. If you have any question, please write down in the comments below. I'm Michael from Project A3. See you next time. Bye bye.